I mean, it's been, it, all right, I will call this meeting of the General Government and Finance Committee to order at 6 PM on Monday, May 16th. Sorry. This meeting has been given public notice in accordance with section 19.83 and 19.84 Wisconsin statutes in such form that will apprise the general public and news media of subject matter that is intended for consideration and action. Roll call shows that all members are present with the exception of trustee Kaminsky, and she is excused. With that, we will move on to approval of the minutes of April 18th, 2022.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion, and is there any discussion on that motion?
One more second.
Okay.
I have.
Anything, Dennis?
No,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I thought you were just looking for something, so. All right, with that, we will vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment, please be advised that we will limit, or we can limit people to approximately 3 minutes during this. Is there anyone here that wants to make public comment for general government and finance? Yes.
Name and
Yeah,
address.
please, name and address.
Making sure the microphone is on. Yeah, thank you. Could you state your address again when you do that?
35 W20647, Meadowlark Lane.
Meadowlark, okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Katie
Peltz,
Peltz,
right.
thank you,
Thank you.
thank you.
All set? Okay. So I just wanted to comment, at the April 18th village board meeting, trustee Miller had said, that he had talked to Administrator Krecklow to get the topic of private well protection on tonight's agenda. But I don't see it on the agenda tonight. This is concerning to me, considering that the village board is discussing the IGA with Ridgefield again tonight, which includes the provision of an escrow fund for the wells. The details of this fund have not been discussed publicly at all, so how can the board make an informed decision on this tonight? And how can they know if the IGA should be amended on the escrow topic? Despite this topic not being on the agenda here, I just wanted to make a few comments. The $200,000 that's currently being proposed to cover the cost of well failure falls far short of what would be needed in the event of widespread well failures. I've talked about these costs at the board meetings. This amount needs to be at least $500,000, and if the village is confident that well 12 will not impact our wells, they should be more than willing to put up that money. The duration of the well coverage should be a minimum of 20 years. The details of what types of well problems are eligible for these funds should include everything related to significant well drawdowns. This means pump lowering, deepening of well depth, drilling a new well, and mitigation measures for arsenic. The process of putting in a claim should not be burdensome or time-consuming to residents. The time without water or with sandy or contaminated water would be beyond inconvenient for residents and may even cause people to have to move out of their homes temporarily. It's concerning that Administrator Krecklow said at the last meeting that the Director of Public Works would review claims for validity and alternatives for remediation. Do residents have to prove the cause of well problems? And how would that be possible? What does alternatives for remediation mean? Please don't say that you're going to take care of us and then make it, yeah,
It's impossible.
I'm sorry.
to hear you with
I know.
Other people talking.
I know. Oh, I know.
Sir, can you please keep it down so this young lady can speak? Thank you.
Sure. Do you want me, should I start over?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
You know,
All right.
right.
Sure, okay. So I just was saying, it's a little concerning that Administrator Krecklo said at the last meeting that the Director of Public Works would review claims for validity and alternatives for remediation. I'm wondering if, do residents have to prove the cause of well problems? How would that be possible? What does alternatives for remediation mean? Please don't say that you're going to take care of us and then make it nearly impossible for us to qualify for the funds to pay for any problems the village causes us. Are we allowed to have like a back and forth a little bit on this, or is this just?
Not typically,
Just comment.
no. It's
Okay.
just public comment.
Okay, I guess I would just, if someone wouldn't mind just letting me know at some point, I can email you guys too, I can just email you my comments. Just when this is going to be on the agenda. Thank you.
Right, and I will just mention one thing is that it is not on our agenda yet because the IGA is still outstanding, and there is provisions in there for that. So once the IGA either is voted for or against, then we will start the process with general government and finance.
Okay, I just have one more quick statement about that. My concern with that is, that the item is in the IGA already, I believe, for the 50,000. And so if that passes the way it is with the 50,000
Actually, 100,000.
or 100,000, say it passes just like that, what good does it do to address the specifics of our well protection after the fact?
There may be more that is needed, but until we know what, if the IGA is passed with those 200,000, 100 from each of us in there or not, we really don't have a direction to go. So once that's resolved one way or the other, then we know which direction to take.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Yes.
I just have a few things. Some of this is going to come up again at the board meeting later, but I just wanted to say that I spoke to someone at the DNR about the private wells in our area, and he said that they were never looked at by the DNR because they didn't have to be looked at by the DNR at that time. About a month or two after they drilled well 12, a law was passed. The case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and they said the DNR has to assess the impact that these high-capacity wells might have on smaller wells in the area. And also that kind of a well will impact the nearby streams. And there are two headwaters to two different rivers directly across the street from well 12. One is the Cedar Creek, and the other one is the west branch of the Menominee River. And by draining water out below ground in that upper aquifer that they're in, it puts those headwaters kind of at a risk for being dry, just like our wells. So that's the problem. He also told me that the DNR's recommendation for water usage from that well was 480 gallons per minute allowed per day. And Germantown has plans to allow for the full capacity to be 800 gallons per minute. Not that they would ever, they said they may never reach full capacity, but that they would, it could get to that point. What if Richfield comes back and said, hey, we need more water. We want to build this other thing. Can we get more water from you? And Germantown says, sure, we can spare more because we can go up to 800 gallons per minute per day. But the DNR's recommendation was 480. And they couldn't, at that time, because the law was not in place yet when it was drilled, they couldn't come out and say, hey, it has to be this. So that's why that's like that. And then I just wanted to say that when I spoke to him, he also said that we should probably get our wells checked out by us to get them inspected, make sure they're in working order, make sure that we have, like measure the depth to water in each well, to see that, you know, and again, this is a cost that the citizens out there are not going to want to bear because, you know, to start it out. And another possibility he suggested was that the DNR would recommend that we contact an agency like Well and Tell. You probably know what Well and Tell is, right? Have you heard of Well and Tell? No one's heard of Well and Tell. I'll give you a little brief description of Well and Tell. They're a company that monitors mostly, local wells, but they also do private wells. And it's a system that's put on the top of your well head. It's not even inside it doesn't have to be inside of it. And it measures the depth of your well water, like all the time, continuously. They have these in Richfield. Richfield knows all about this. Yep, and so they've had this for years, and it's in that Reflections Village. They put a big well in, a deeper well, and it started to draw down the wells in those houses that are surrounding that. And so they, apparently, now you'd have to talk to them about this because I can't give you the exact facts on, it's basically what I've read online about it, that they had to drill their well deeper to allow for the wells in the area to get the recharge that they needed from that dolomite they were in. And they went deeper so that they could allow for that, and that worked. So that's all I know about it. What I do know is the cost for Well and Tell, because I called them and I spoke to a representative of the company. And I was told that if you monitored just 5 wells out in our area, you picked 5 that were maybe, different points on the compass or something, that it would be about $7,000 for the equipment and the installation initially up front. And out of that, there's $1,200 for equipment. It's $200 per well to install it. And that's 7,000, I'm sorry, did I say that was per well? That's for the total cost. The breakdown is $1,200 for equipment on the 5 wells, which is $6,000, then $200 per well to install it. So that would be another $1,000, so that would make $7,000. The annual fee to monitor the data, which is what tells you what the numbers are on the depth of the well, is $1,200 for the 5 wells, so $240 annually per well. And the batteries are about $200 to $400 to replace per year. And I thought she said that was for all 5 wells. And they take care of the maintenance. So, but the maintenance cost is $2,000 per year for the 5 wells. So it adds up in a hurry. The other thing is that I think there are some devices that can be purchased, like maybe at the hardware store or something, that we could put on, but they're not as necessarily as accurate. So I don't know that I'd want to do something like that. But we're talking about 5 wells. We're not talking about doing every single well in the area because that would be astronomical cost. But for what it could save, not only the homeowner, but the village, if there's a liability issue, like where the water does draw down considerably, rather than draining out to the point where their pump goes dry, or burns out. And rather than having like the village have to come out every single time and do something, that would be maybe helpful to have this kind of a system in place to kind of preempt that, because you don't want to run somebody dry and now that homeowner has to leave their house because they have no water. You can't live in a house without water. We found that out when our power goes out. So anyway, these are just things I'd like for the committee to consider if and when this gets to you later on. But we didn't know if it was going to be on the agenda, so we thought we'd make our comments tonight. So thank you for
I
listening.
appreciate it. Thank you. Deanna, did you get her name and
I
address?
believe this is Judy. Is this Judy Couts of Meadowlark Lane? Okay, thank you.
My name is David Herman, West 209, North 13450, Robin Hood Drive. And I have a statement here. I've been in contact with the people in Jackson who had their water interrupted and have enough information to take this situation to the next level when needed. We had trouble with you and Hignite. Now it's you and Richfield, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We can once again circle the wagons and get the professional help and proceed as before. I suggest before you make your decision, you talk to the Richfield and all the et ceteras and ask them how far they will go to back you up You may want to also figure out the cost, will figure in your costs overall. I understand class action is very expensive for the loser. Maybe your escrow bait money should go for drilling down to the next aquifer, as what you should have done in the first place, and you thought it was a good idea with Ignite, and it still is a good idea. It was part of the original idea. And if that don't work, then maybe it's just not meant to be.
Thank you, sir. Or anyone else here for public comment? Can you say something? Yes, sir.
It's Patrick Adair. And I'm having a little problem that I think of. At the village here, when people are by different places, they're not in Germantown, and then they get in a bus and they go to Germantown or to school. So, and then later, a bus comes over and the kids get out, at 3 o'clock or 3:30, and then the people come and take it. And the persons that they go, a person who has the house, they're not there. There's a guy there that stays there a little bit, and then these other people come and this and that for all day round. They all change around. And there's not a real person in that house. And I don't think it's right that, let's say around 8 o'clock, the lady comes, it's right in front of my house. She comes in and the kids get in the bus to Germantown's high school. And they're not there. And I think here that we should check that if people that are not in Germantown, they shouldn't be allowed to go to the, in Germantown's high school, but they're not in Germantown. I don't think that's right. And that's what I want to say.
All right, thank you, sir.
There's quite a few people. See, it was okay, but when the lady that had the house, she went to California and she met somebody, and then other people are just playing with it now.
Sure.
And I get to see that all the time. They try and get in front of my house and, I got that all set up, but I don't want it to. And then, so I see them in the morning and they go. And then later, when the school's over, a bus comes and they get out and they go with then their mom comes over or dad or whoever, and then they go. And they don't go towards Germantown, they go that way.
Understood, sir.
So I just thought to myself, I've seen this happen. So it's up to you guys, but I don't think it's a good idea that people that are not in Germantown do not go to that school
Mhm.
unless they live there.
Right.
So I just want to let you know.
Thank you. We will need to move on now, but I appreciate your comments. All
Okay, if you need any more like that, I can tell you about that.
right, thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward? Thank you. If not,
I think this gentleman, right?
oh, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, sir, I didn't see you. I apologize. I'll try to speak up.
But I'll introduce myself. My name is Harry Weckworth. Live on Robin Hood Drive. I built my home there in 1972. So I'm familiar with the ups and downs of Germantown community and industrialization and all of the problems. What's concerning me right now is the drawdown of the wells. The desirability of Germantown, and I don't know if it's for economical reasons or what, but to sell water, which is gold. And I'd like to take you in a little scenario that goes through my mind. I come home and my wife tells me, we don't have any water pressure. What do you mean? Turn on a faucet, yeah, water's low. What do? I call up someone at the village who's responsible for our water problems. And I'm told, you got to come out and check it. But we can't flush our toilets. We can't take a shower. We can't do anything. So we have to wait. Now, they've determined that, yes, there's water problems. Maybe you gotta have an inspection. We have to perhaps go deeper, all of these things. In the meantime, I've got to move out. I've got to go to a hotel. I have to take my clothing to a laundromat. Are you responsible? Who's going to pay me for that? Jackson had a problem. They had a leaky petroleum pipe. And as a result, some of the wells were threatened by contamination. And Jackson Board said, well, we're going to take care of you folks. They were frightened to death. And they fought it. And they wound up getting Habish, and Retier, or whatever they're called. And they fought it. As a result, a friend of mine who lives in Jackson, they were provided with water, drinking water, water for toilets, washing, all of these things. That's something that you folks, I think, had better consider. Another thing, I don't know, 10 years after I moved into Germantown and built my home, there was a drought. And my well evidently was not deep enough. So fortunately, I had in-laws who had sufficient room in their home, and I was able to move out with my children and my wife until a well was deepened, reconstructed, and a new pump. But that delay, what happens now? I don't know how many people are going to be affected by this water that you guys are selling to Richfield. And I don't know why you want to sell it. I don't know if it's a profit thing. You think it's going to make money like that industrial park by us? Everything's standing vacant. It's a TIF district. Who's paying for it? The taxpayer. I'm sorry, I'm getting overworked here. But I just want you to understand that this is a very complex issue. And if people have problems with their wells, it's not only getting it fixed, it's all the ramifications of how you get it fixed. What do you do with those folks? Are you going to put them up in motels? There's a heck of a lot of stuff there that you've got to face. And you sure don't want us to be forced into any kind of legal action. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much for your time.
take the mic to him.
My name is Donald Farley. I live at West 207, North 13580, Meadowlark Court. Mailing address is Richfield, Wisconsin. Is this meeting going to be voted on tonight for the water for Richfield? A yes or no vote?
This is general government and finance. That's at the village board meeting. That starts at 7 PM. And
The
it,
one that I'm referring to starts at 7?
correct.
Okay, I was a little confused because I hear him talking about the water.
Mhm.
So I guess I'll reserve my comments for 7 o'clock.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else wishing to come forward? If not, we will continue on with new business, and new business item A is website and electronic message board presentation by Aaron Hearn.
So this is just going to be a brief presentation. One of the objectives from from the village board was to manage the village website and the village electronic message board. And so this is just kind of a little background about what's going on currently so that we can kind of do a better job and make sure that we're getting everything updated as the board wishes. So starting with the Okay, sorry about that. Starting with the electronic message board. So currently myself, Trisha from the library, Patty from Park and Rec, and then Emily from the development department, we all have access to posting things on the electronic message board.
And Aaron, just for clarification, this is the board that's between the library and the village board, right?
Correct.
Right on
The
Beck One Road?
Yes, correct. The lovely board right outside. So currently we have a spot on our website under forms, under the clerk's office, where people can either make a request electronically. Otherwise, we do have copies at our front desk that people can make requests. And then they go to me and I approve them or disapprove them and then contact the person who has made that request to let them know whether it's been posted or not. So that's currently the procedure of how we get things done. We've been putting a bunch of posts up there, as I'm sure you all have seen, and it's a process. We're getting better at it, I think. So, you know, you can't always tell what it says, but we are taking our due diligence to try to make it sure that it's legible by the public. We try not to have very many. Right now, the policy that we got approved by the village board says that we only have 10 up at a time. So we're trying to make it so that people have time to see all of them. But obviously when people are driving, you know, you don't want to cause an accident. And I'm sure they won't be able to see every single one that goes on there, but we are trying our best to make it clear what's going on. There's also, like I said, there's an internal, if somebody internally wants something posted, then they just either email me or post it themselves, and I review all the posts as they're put up there. I do it about once a week. And then externally is to fill out a form at Village Hall or to fill out the form online. There's also access to the police department and the fire department if they ever wish to post something. Then going on to the village website. So back in 2012 is when we became partners with Civic Plus, who was the creator of our website and who now hosts it and manages it for us. We did that back in 2012. And they're a well-known company that work with many municipalities around the location, including Menominee Falls. Early in 2021, there was a visual update that was conducted to the site by Civic Plus. This was a free update, but they updated the look and feel of our site. And they went through the process of looking at the different pages to see if they were relevant or not. Not all the pages were updated at that time, but they were reviewed and the visual effects were changed. Then in late 2021, when I was on board, we did a training, which I brought in multiple departments to do some website training to make sure we were all on the same page and knew how to change some of the pages and update things. So now there are multiple people who have access and opportunity to do that, and not just one person. Ah. Okay, so this is our website as it's currently viewed. Some of the recent updates that we've done, we added SeeClick Fix. We updated our job posting website. I don't know if anybody's had an opportunity to look at that, but we have updated it so that it's easier to access and more visually friendly. I've also done some other formatting issues. On the bottom corner, there's now access so that all pages are viewable in different languages to be more inclusive. And so every day we're making updates to this website, but feedback is always appreciated. And I also put on our webpage Google Analytics. So now we view Google Analytics to make sure that the things that are posted or easily accessible from the front page of our website to reduce the number of clicks is there. And so as you can see, the number one is the profile, which means that we're going in and making updates. So that's the most number of people that are in there. So you can see how many times from January we've been in there 200 times to update things on the website. Next is the Agenda Center to view the agendas for our meetings. So and then it goes down from there. And then the next one that I have is the second hit page views. So people are most wanting to do online bill pay. So these are just a few things, that you get from Google Analytics, but we do review these to make sure that our website is accurate and on top of it. So I don't know if there's any comments or if you guys want to make any suggestions or I would like some direction of what you would like to see based on your requirements for our objectives for this year.
Trustee Myers.
When you have the different items on the screen, how long do you keep them up?
So they're up for 7 seconds.
No, I'm in days. I'm sorry.
Like in a posted announcement or anything like that?
Whatever announcements you have, do you have different time frames for how long that's going to be posted so people can see?
Yep. So in our policies, we say 2 week at the max, and that we take it down once the event is done. So we have that all listed for people who are applying. So when you go on our website, which I actually can. Okay, so when you go on our website and you go under services, you go down to clerk, treasurer's office, and then the applications form. Now, if we want to change the site of where this is located, we can. This is where it was prior to my arrival, so I just kept it in the same spot because I didn't want to change too much. But then if you scroll down under other license and materials, it says community sign request. And so if you click on that, it brings you to this form center where you can fill it out online. And so it has all pretty simple questions, the date it needs to be taken up and down, what you want on this sign. And then right here, it has the digital message board policy. So you can click on that and read through the message board policy. So which gives you what it can and can't be. This was brought before the board late last year. And so it says what the content regulations are, it even says who's responsible for things, content display request, how you would make that request, and then what's excluded. And like there it says, no more than 10 days prior to the date of the event will the slides be put up.
Is it possible, rather than having all the different areas, maybe highlight that particular one underneath that in bolder print and let them be able to go through it rather than going through the whole thing?
Sure.
That would be my thought after really looking at it really fast per se. There's quite a few of them on there.
Okay.
And just maybe highlight on the bottom if there's room for, I'd appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep,
you,
I can
Aaron.
do that.
And thank you for your answer.
Yeah, I would say the most questions I get is about navigating through the website itself. I don't have any specifics right now, but it's usually, how can I find this? On the front page, the Alert Me is something that I think is underutilized, because if people really want to know what's going, I'm sorry, Notify Me,
Mhm.
you can sign up and it'll send you an email for every agenda item, every notification, every notice that we got, even water bill notifications that I received last week. And the other one is the brand new one, SeeClick Fix, which I don't think many people understand yet, but
Sure.
we need to get that word out a little bit more. It's been good. The word is starting to get out that that is our reporting tool. You click SeeClick Fix and you report an issue and you will get an answer, some kind of answer, some type of response.
We're up to 40 people who have signed up for it. So, and we have a committee at Village Hall that is trying to, do different things to try to support it further. So we are trying to get it out there. We have a $50 a month drawing. If you sign up, you're entered in that, and then you email me, then you're entered into that $50 drawing. So we only had 5 people sign up this last time. So your odds are pretty, good.
20% odds, not good.
But we are trying to think of new and interesting ways of trying to get people interested in this subject matter. So we will continue.
And then
doing it.
I think the other thing is that people will start on this page, don't realize that there's quite a bit more on it, that if you scroll down, that's the announcements,
Yeah.
and the most current announcements in that. So that's a little bit of an education as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I've been reviewing other people's websites as well. I mean, we have a really nice looking website. So it's hard to, I all the time I go through and try to make things easier to get to. Like just an example is this job opportunities. So before we had like 5 different places that you could go and they weren't all the same place. So you'd find jobs in different locations.
Consolidate, yeah.
So now we've consolidated it. We have one platform that we post our jobs on, and the only 2 locations now that you can get there from go to the same exact place. So those are some things. I mean, we're doing these things daily, and so we don't always bring them in front of you. But we are daily trying to resolve some of the issues that people are having getting to certain places.
So if someone has suggestions, they can use SeeClick Fix and then
They can use
send you a
SeeClick Fix, or
suggestion
they can
for it.
just email me. Yep. Yep.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, Aaron. With that, we'll move to item B, payment of storage tank environmental impairment liability policy.
Motion to approve.
And this is our standard policy, right? Just a renewal?
Yes.
Right, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Right, okay. Any other questions? Not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. With that. Item C, Resolution 21, 2022, a resolution authorizing the first supplement to the trust indenture and bonds for Germantown Industrial Revenue Bond Series 2012, Heather Lake LLC project.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I'm typing too, so give me just a minute. Thank you. So I had depended on Brian to report on this item. However, he is unavailable this evening. He's got the flu bug this evening. But it does tell us right in the resolution itself what this is basically about. It's on the second or third paragraph that there is a change in the secured financing as it's now by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. So that gives you some information there, what the change really is. And the village is not secured by this. We're just part of this resolution for the company. The company name has also changed, and this is from 2012, and there was a change since 2012. It will be on the village board agenda as well. So.
Okay. So we have a motion to move this to the village board with a positive recommendation. Is there any other questions? If not, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, item D, American Rescue Plan funding, electronic poll books.
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay. I did have some information in the packet, if it's okay for me to
Yeah,
talk.
please
So,
summarize.
so thank you for going ahead and making a motion. But this is an electronic poll book system that's available in the state of Wisconsin. I did quite a bit of research before this item came up. And what this would allow us to do is to have electronic poll books instead of paper poll books at the polls. So the voter would still follow the same process, state name and address, and show the photo ID. But when they show the photo ID, if it is a state-issued ID, there's a scanner that will scan that in. And to reassure us that that is
the person.
that is the person. And then, of course, they would sign, much like you do at the grocery store when you're making a purchase, sign. And
So it's a tablet type of thing or a computer or?
tablet, it's a tablet that's up, and then it prints out the voter number right
Oh,
underneath.
got it.
And, yeah, and then the voter takes that to the ballot table to receive the ballot. I do have the cost breakdown that it is over $50,000 for all of the polling locations. Now, the rest of the story is on the back end. The clerk's office has to hand enter every single entry from the poll books. So instead of that, this will be an upload from the electronic poll books.
Quite a bit of savings.
Yeah, another piece of information for you is they are not hooked up to the internet. They are hooked up to each other at each poll location. So they talk amongst themselves, but not to the internet at all. And that will allow us to go ahead and have maybe 3 of them going, and we don't have to alphabetize. You know, when you go to the polls, you see A through M, N through Z, no more of that. You can go to.
Just 3 lines or 2 lines or whatever you think the volume is.
Correct.
Ah.
They are also used for registration. So we will need less, we won't need as many election officials with these as well. So
Same thing on the registration where if you had a photo ID,
it will upload.
it'll upload.
Now, we will still have to verify proper proof of residency with that registration as part of that process. I did additional research to look at this, that there are over 200 municipalities in process with bringing these on board. It is too late to have these available for the November of 2022 election. I'm preparing for 2023. However, if they do have them available, and if this goes through, we could have them for central count for the counting of the absentees. So just something I'm working towards. And the money is coming from the ARPA funding, so that $45,000 that was set aside for elections, that's where this comes from. And then the other $5,000 to come from operating budget.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
We have a motion, right? Committee, any questions?
No, I don't know.
Would you pay, what you pay for this, will you pay for this by, I noticed there's like a 3% charge if you use credit card.
Yes. I would run this through our normal accounts
Right, so you wouldn't
payable.
have to-
Yeah, accounts payable is what I'd be looking to do.
Good. Anything else?
Nope.
We'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to unfinished business. Item A, American Rescue Plan funding for village employees. And I assume this is Aaron's?
Yes, thank you for that. So this has come before you many times. This next time now is with those who have retired since March 1st of 2020, included in the mix. This is still under the $250,000 that the village board approved at our previous meeting. But this is for 15 individuals, and this would include all of those who have retired, like I said, since March 1st of 2020.
And this is just the retirement update, right?
Yes.
In this
Yes.
packet.
I don't believe there was any other requests for this package, but if there are, I can definitely look into it further.
Question, Trustee Myers?
Did you say you found 15 people that fell in this category?
Yes, yep, and then we prorated the amount from the time they were working during that time and the time they retired.
What formula did you use in regard to this?
I'm sorry, I didn't bring that with me.
Sorry, being a detailed person.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yes, but it was just prorated back from the time they started to the time that we're going to give it out, so until June. So the time they worked between then and now.
Based on number of months, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or
It was months. And I believe I saw in here that it was worked out that there's still some money left over from what we
Yes, yep.
originally had.
Gosh, I'm sorry. Yes, the total now would be $231,586.
And I think originally we had 250.
250,
Correct.
right?
Right, okay. 235.
Aaron has, I'm sorry,
No,
Go ahead.
I can't go any further because
Aaron, what consideration is given here for as far as payroll taxes, et cetera, on this? On all these?
So that
What is this subject to?
that has not been put into consideration, so I would have to talk to our payroll specialist. regarding that.
Matthew hasn't looked at this, or the payroll people haven't looked at it?
Well, she's looked at it, but she hasn't given
You
me
mean,
that
is this like a
number.
miscellaneous income?
Yeah,
going to be taxed for it, or are they going to get?
That's a good
that
question.
will add to the total here as
Assuming
well.
ARPA
so,
funds is taxable.
no.
I'm sorry, we'd have to look at.
I would have to
I
ask
would
Paula.
think it
I'm
is.
so sorry about that.
Thing.
It's called a bonus.
Work back in regard to that. Find that
Mhm.
information, appreciate that. Either.
Just be our portion of the Social Security, right?
I think so. Yeah.
7.65%. Okay. Is there any action that needs to be taken on this?
Well, if you approve it, then it would need to be approved so that it could go on the next village board meeting.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
All right, I'll second. Any further discussion? This will go on, and this won't go on consent agenda. I'm assuming we'll discuss this.
Sure, you just want to add as
Yeah.
an agenda item? Sure.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Have it on an agenda item. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One opposed, motion carries. Unfinished business, item B is vacation policy clarification.
So as you see, I did put a new document in front of you for tonight. So after further evaluation of what I had put before you ahead of time and discussion with not only some of the trustees, but also some discussion with our village attorney, it seems like we needed a little more clarification. So on the memo that I sent you, it gives an example of somebody who has an anniversary date prior to July 5th, assuming that that's the date that this would start, and then past July 5th. So it gives an example of that so that people understand how they'll be accruing their vacation. So this policy change is really not changing what was happening internally. It's just what was in the handbook and what was being shown on in individuals' paycheck. So those are the only two things that are changing, but in the way that it was paid out and the way it was accrued and the way that like every year, the anniversary date was when like their rates started. So if you got additional vacation on year 7, you would start getting that at your anniversary date. So during this change, we would try to make it accessible so that they would view the correct amount on their paycheck. We know this will happen through Tyler Munis. However, we will try to make it happen ahead of time so that people can see the accurate amount of vacation they have. But then a letter will be sent to each of the employees
Glad to see
to make sure that they're aware of how we went through this process. Because we don't want anybody to be kept in the dark about how we're doing this. But some of the things that were changed from the policy is we did take out that they wouldn't get vacation during time that they were on vacation. So that's what was here. So we took that out. And then on the back, we had it as if we were still doing an annual accrual, a calendar year
Calendar year.
accrual instead of an anniversary accrual. So I changed that calculation because it was supposed to be per pay period instead of per number of days. And then I changed it also per our attorney's request for the capped accrual amount, changing that instead of doing a rollover, it would be a capped accrual amount. And that would be for all employees. So he thought that I should put that statement as well. And then the example was also for a calendar year accrual. And so we changed that. So because once this accrual takes effect, then that exact amount that they would be paid out will be showing up on their paycheck. So they won't have to go through the calculation process. And it will make it easier for the employee to see what they actually have accrued.
Committee? Questions? Comments? Trustee Myers?
I like the fact that you're sending out a letter to all the employees so they understand what the changes in the policy are per se, so they can understand it. Plus the accrual also on their pay stubs, where they can see that every 2 weeks per se. So thank you for your efforts in regard to that, Aaron.
Yeah.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Yeah, I think this explains some things. There was some discrepancies, especially the calendar year versus anniversary date. And I think anniversary date is more common now than a calendar year on this, and it makes a lot of sense.
And just so you know, there have been a couple past employees who we need to redo their calculations, but it's for a minimal amount, and so we didn't bring that before the board. But I just wanted to let you know that that is being taken care of as well.
Thank you. Any other comments? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, couple reports to go through. Monthly financial summary, the year-to-date, and expense report for all funds. Anna, anything to talk about in this?
I don't have anything in regard to that particular item.
It's trending the way I would expect for this time of year for most items. We do have some allocations that need to be made yet.
Okay. Sounds good, thank you. Accounts payable for the 4 weeks that are posted there. I'm sorry, the 4 periods that are posted there. Any other questions on that?
No.
All right. Letter of credit.
I
Anything
did-
outstanding?
If I may, Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry?
one particular question. Where are we in regard to our audit?
Oh, okay. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, go ahead.
So just this weekend, the Schedule C, a main financial document was due on the 15th, and that has been completed and sent to the auditors. I'm also working with CLA as approved at the last meeting on interfund amounts. So it is a work in progress. I don't have a definite date right now, but there's constant communications going on to get this completed.
The other question I had is in regard to rollovers from last year, leftover funds and so on. Ones that had additional amounts that were left over, not the ones that had not been, that jobs had not been completed, but do we have a list in regard to that yet?
There were some that we approved earlier in the year on this already, and I'm sorry, I don't have that information with me right now, but there were some that that already went through GGF and Village Board. I would have to look at that for certain.
I was going to say, I do remember some of those, but Matthew also said that he had not completed those. So if we could see those at our next GTF meeting, I'd appreciate that, please.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And now we'll move on to letters of credit. Anything in there? Doesn't look like anything is coming due or. And with that, we'll move on to the Capital Data IT report. We weren't going to have somebody here from Capital Data. Is Craig on tonight?
So I,
I'm done.
There he is.
okay,
Hi, Craig.
let me bring up his presentation. Hang on just a second.
Good evening. All.
All right, Craig, we have the screen up. If you just want to go through the slides.
Sure. Yeah, I'd just like to give a quick update of the progress within the IT services that Capital Data provides for April. So from a project status report, one of the primary projects that we've been driving is migrating the village's email to the Microsoft Cloud. In April, we completed the village and the fire users, so they're 100% now operating in the Microsoft Cloud environment. And we've also standardized on all their Microsoft Office applications across those departments. What currently is outstanding is the police department. We hit a couple of roadblocks. They were operating in a separate environment to village and fire. So we've readjusted the plan. And we're looking to complete the migration of their email within 30 days or less. Another project ongoing is device workstation or computer standardization and really security initiatives across the village. So this is making sure that all the computers and workstations across all the departments are standardized as far as applications being patched and configured securely to best practices, and then also implementing two-factor authentication, which is requirements of new cyber insurance policies for the village. So that project is in process, and we're targeting to complete that within the next 30 days as well. New projects that have been kicked off in April is a backup project. So this is consolidating all the backup systems within all the departments to a new modern platform. This project has been approved. All the physical equipment that was purchased has been installed actually today. And then there's ongoing configuration and looking to complete that project at the end of this month. Another project that was kicked off was a ProPhoenix software upgrade for the police department. This involves new infrastructure and software. All the equipment and software has been ordered, and we're tracking a July delivery for that equipment. So we're just waiting for delivery on that. In summary, additional projects, some battery backup hardware was replaced this month. We're focused on working on implementing additional proactive monitoring and alerting software, and then assistance with the Tyler accounting software upgrades and migrations. Any questions from a project status?
Yeah, there was a question. Hold on one second.
Can you go back one page, please? In regard to your device management aspect protection,
Yes.
do we have any computers that are at home of employees in administration that should also be covered in this aspect?
We don't have any
If-
computers that, I'm sorry, Craig, I was going to take that.
No, please, yeah, please carry on.
So we don't have any computers right now that stay at their home, so they bring them back in. So we have put management software on their devices.
What about their own computers that they might log into?
So that's what the MFA system is. So when they log into their email account,
Right.
Is that what you're talking about, or logging into their computer? Okay.
Right.
Okay, so if they log into their email account, they do have multi-factor authentication, so they have to approve it by their application that they have on their phone. So we have that set up for everybody.
Okay.
Yep.
Those are things that we don't hear about all the time, but at the same time,
Sure.
when the virus was around, people were
Yes.
being at home remotely.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to
But
make sure
that's
this is
the-
covered.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's the importance of the management solution that we're rolling out, right? Is having that single pane of glass visibility of all the computers and who's accessing the village data, and then being able to, implement security and controls around that moving forward.
Thank you for addressing that for me.
Any
Okay.
other questions?
No, I think we can move on.
So moving forward, just this is a summary of just the support requests that are coming in. So 17 tickets in total for the month, 10 resolved, seven still open. I'm not going to go through all the open tickets right now, but they're in progress. I think just moving on to kind of the utilization graphs slide, so 2 slides ahead, I think is important. You can see that.
Yeah.
Somewhere there should be retainer utilization trend.
Where to go?
It never came up. Get something coming in down with a little bit.
Well, I think I'll carry on while that's doing its thing there. I think that the important thing to communicate here for the month of April is we're seeing a downward trend of all the support tickets, and that's really the goal, right? For this engagement and this partnership here is resolving outstanding issues and reducing the number of issues on a monthly basis. So last month we were trending up in the 80 hours of effort and support tickets that we were working on, and now we're down to 30 or less. There we go. That's it. So really, we're looking just at the downward trend, and that was the goal, right? So first couple of months, fixing the environment, implementing new systems, and now we're starting to trend down to a more stable environment.
Question.
Yes, one question coming.
The other question I had in regard to those 7 tickets that are unresolved at this particular time, are any one of those from a couple months ago that are still outstanding?
I think there are some that are still outstanding, but it's just based on priority, right? So if they're, service requests versus critical tickets, there's different priorities there.
Thank you.
And then
Okay.
really next slide, just final slide, focus for May from Capital Data's perspective. So continuing reviewing the environment, implementing best practice configurations, remediating any outstanding items, working on, the remainder of those support tickets. That's always a focus. Continuing with the projects that we just talked about earlier, and then just, proactively implementing or fine tuning, the monitoring and alerting to maintain the environment.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
No, I think we're good, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, with that, we have gone through the agenda items. Our next meeting would be on June 20th. Is that okay, everyone? 6 PM? This boardroom? Great. With that, we will adjourn. We'll take a short break and then the village board meeting will start momentarily. Thank you.